So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Rosa, Rosa, Rosa. What do I think? Well, presumably that's why you're tuning into this video. So, what do I think? Well, firstly, I need to get my phone up to get my notes up. So, I was so unprepared for this video, man. I'm going to be going through my views of this story in chronological order, just because I feel like that's the best way to tackle all of this. Some of the ways they showed the sort of the times was very brave of them. I'm surprised they did go to the extents they did, but I'm glad they did that because it made it feel that much more real and that much more, because it's a true story and it's a very, if they fucked it up, it could have offended a lot of people. So they had to be very careful, but I feel like everything they did in it was very respectful and good. It's the tiny little throwaway sort of funny jokes that I find funny, like when the Doctor lent Elvis a mobile phone, and obviously that comes up later as well, so that's always nice as well, the fact that they kind of add to that. When Ryan got smacked in the face just for trying to give a glove back to a white woman, the fact that part of the TARDIS team are being affected by segregation in the 1950s was really kind of contributed to making it that much more of an impactful story. Vanette Robinson's performance as Rosa Parks was fantastic throughout the entire story. 13 used a brilliant catchphrase again. Obviously this is the first time she's used it in this series. It's the first time she's used it since Twice Upon a Time. The story felt quite educational, which is how the show was meant to be when it was first made. I think Beth from the Time Ladies tweeted out something like, Doctor Who first started less than a decade after the civil rights movement started with Rosa Parks and the bus boycott. And that's insane. It just shows how recent all this is, and the majority of people watching this, viewers, including myself, our grandparents were alive during this time period. Some of the derogatory terms used in the story, the fact that they were used pre-Watershed, were, again, it was very brave of them, but I'm glad they did it because it made it feel that much more realistic and that much more like it was actually part of the times and not just like a weakened version of it. Graham moaning about not being able to eat whilst travelling with the Doctor. Again, it just makes him feel that much more down to earth and just much more of a practical thinker compared to a lot of other companions. We assume, is it Krasko? We assume he is a time agent. I don't think it's ever said specifically that he is one, but I think it can kind of be assumed by the fact that he's got a vortex manipulator and all this other stuff from the future. If he is a time agent, it's nice to see another one. Obviously, in the Whoniverse, the only time agents we know of are Jack Harkness, John Hart from Torchwood, and presumably Krasko now. Not 100% sure if the motel that they were staying at was the same one that Martin Luther King was assassinated at. Could the Doctor be Banksy? Me being such an Apple fanboy with the new iPhone, a MacBook Pro, I am an Apple fanboy. So it's nice seeing Graham pretend to be Steve Jobs. I did like the way they acknowledged that racism is still a thing nowadays. Obviously, everything has got much better. As Yaz was saying, things have got so much better since the 50s. America had a black president. Black people can now do the jobs that white people could, and obviously that's great. But racism is still a thing nowadays. The way they're remembering Grace in this series, whilst not rubbing it in your face, was very nice. The Doctor's intelligence was shown off so well during her interaction with Krasko. A lot of people have said how underdeveloped Krasko's character actually is, and I can agree with that to an extent, but I think the villain of this story is the racism, and Krasko is more of a embodiment of that, of the racism. And I think the fact that he's from the future again really shows off the fact that racism is an ongoing battle. I loved that little scene when Ryan is in Rosa's house with Martin Luther King and Rosa's husband and that other bloke. I don't think he's a massive civil rights leader or anything like Martin Luther King, not at least not to his extent. To tell you the truth, I've never heard of him. I don't really know much about the civil rights movement. Ryan and Graham have such a great bond. It really makes me want to see Ryan eventually call Graham Grandad, which is bound to happen later in the series. When they figure out that they were actually part of the story all along, it really sends a shiver down your spine. It's sending a shiver down my spine now just thinking about it. Or it might be the fact that it's pretty cold and I'm only wearing a t-shirt. During the actual bus scene, the performances of every cast member involved in that was absolutely phenomenal, and for me, I've got to give it most to both Annette Robinson and Bradley Walsh. Every single person that doubted Bradley Walsh as a good actor, they must have had their mindsets changed when they watched this scene, because my God, it was good. I know people aren't fond of the use of the pop music, Rise Up, I think it's called. I think it's really good. As long as they don't use it all the time, as long as they don't use pop music all the time in the show, I don't mind it. And on a very rare occasion like this, I think it really suits the tone of the story. And the fact that that music was also playing over the end credits, again, as long as it's not a constant thing, as long as it's just a one-off occasion, I don't mind it. I think it makes it better in a way. I think it adds more to the emotion levels of the story, if that makes sense. The whole story was absolutely heartbreaking. The fact that it happened in real life as well really adds to that. And to be honest, I'm a heartless bastard, but I cried when I was watching it, and that shows a lot. Overall, it was easily the best episode of the revived series. I am going to do like a top 5 or a top 10 Doctor Who stories once this series is finished, and I'm looking forward to that. But they are my views on Rosa. Absolutely fantastic story, easily the best story so far of this series, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you for watching the video, and yeah, subscribe to my channel, like the video, follow my Instagram, follow my Twitter, add me on Snapchat, and I will see you next time in Arachnids in the UK. Goodbye!